goodness, we're back for another Parent Pivot podcast. We're so glad that you're here with us. Thank you, Ross, for um, that introduction to the Pivot podcast. And actually, what's funny about that is,
Oh, yes.
yes, our youngest son and his wife, they're moving from their Christian camp. They've been working at for the last, 3, 4, 5 years?
4 years.
Okay, and so they have this very narrow hallway, and they were trying to move a couch out, and they were going the long ways, trying to, and it wasn't coming out of the room and into the hallway, if you can kind of picture that and things. And so, a couple of the kids sent a gif of Frost going, pivot, 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 and things. So it's kind of funny thinking that, hey, there's our family trying to get the couch out. And they finally succeeded.
Yes.
They listened to a friend who said, how come you won't stand it up on its end and then move it out? And they had a good laugh for like the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But hey, I love my boys. They're moving down. And so we start that. By the way, today I'm wearing pink. Do you know why I'm wearing pink?
Because yesterday was Mother's Day.
Yesterday was Mother's Day.
Yes.
And not only were we celebrating you as a mother, we're celebrating our daughter as a mother. And we got to go to our first in-person baby dedication for our granddaughter, Florence.
I've actually been to another baby dedication.
I'm sorry, Juliet. Thank you for reminding me of that. That was my first baby dedication for one of our grandkids.
Yes.
We try to get to them, but we can't we don't have a private jet and we can't get there. But anyway. If only. Anyway, welcome to the Parent Pivot podcast, and I'm Steve Cummings.
And I'm Julia Cummings.
And we promise we will not be distracted by any wildlife in our backyard today. We are going to ignore them.
Yes.
Yes. What are we talking about today?
Well, we were chatting recently with a group of friends talking about birthdays.
Yeah.
And having a conversation about how some of us feel like birthdays are important and some don't care. And there are reasons for that. So in my own life, I can say I never really felt celebrated when I was growing up. I watched a lot of my friends. Their parents spoiled them on their birthdays. They had big parties. It was just different. And so I kind of watched that, and I never really felt super celebrated. And I don't know, that was important to me, I guess. So when I had my own children, I was like, doggone it. My children are going to have parties. They're going to feel important on their birthday. Yep. They're going to, feel like we really love them and care about them and want to celebrate them.
Now, before we move on, so you heard her background of growing up, and my background of growing up. My birthday is in the middle of December. And everybody's always doing something for Christmas. They've got parties they're going to, shopping, you name it. And I remember as a little boy growing up, my mom and dad, or my mom would say, do you want that for your birthday or for Christmas? Meaning you'll get it for one, but we can't afford both. And I just kind of felt like this is my fault that I was born in the middle of December and stuff. So I felt a little overlooked and not as valued. And so birthdays are important to me. I like to celebrate them. Unfortunately for me, I've just had to come to a point of going, you know what? December is a busy month. Do I want to plan something for my own birthday? It's kind of hard to get friends together when they've already got plans. And besides that, it's the winter. We're not going to go to the lake and go out on a boat in the dead of winter. Or things like that. So I've had to learn to kind of accept that. But as you well done coming from that, I love celebrating other people on their birthday. In fact, the men in my ministry or the men in my life, I've make sure I know when their birthday is. Mm-hmm. I may be the only person celebrating their birthday with some funny gift that I send them and whatever. And people have come back and said that's meant a lot to me. So being a natural giver, I got the gift of giving. I want to bless people and love well. And so birthdays are important for me to celebrate other people.
Right.
So here we have two people, mom and dad.
Right. So we both have felt a little slighted on our birthdays. And each of you listening to this will have your own story.
Yeah.
I know people that their birthdays weren't important, but what I could say about them is, number one, it could be, yes, they're truly not important to them, but they felt celebrated in other ways every other day of the year. So they never felt slighted. I've told you all many, many times, I am a highly emotional person. I am very deep. I think deep. I feel deep. I am just deep, deep, deep.
I love that about you.
So, with that comes some heavy, deep emotion. And so, being the youngest of five kids, I felt very forgotten anyway. I felt slighted a lot. I felt invisible in the way, whatever it was. I was kind of the tag along kid. So, all that to say, this isn't a boohoo story, but if you are one of those people that maybe doesn't care about your birthday, it could be that you felt very celebrated in other ways, the rest of the time. So keep that in mind. Um, and as you raised your children, because now we're talking to you
Right.
as a person with adult children.
Fast forward 25, 30 years.
Right.
And more.
We.
All right, wait a minute. I gotta include Steve. Did you hear that thump? That was me going under the bus again.
Well, I say I because I felt like I was the one really making those choices.
And I went along with it.
Because I'm like, okay, this is important to me.
But I didn't stop you.
No, that's why. But
we're a team.
Yeah. So we had birthday parties every year for our kids. They weren't big and fancy. They weren't any, it was not some big brouhaha. We didn't have the money to do that. But our kids really loved their birthdays. By the time they were in high school, I was trying to bribe them and say, hey, can I pay you to not have a party?
No!
And they would never go for it. So, their birthdays were important. Fast forward again.
Well, mind you, slow down for just a sec. I think so. We give them a picture of what those birthdays looked like. It's not like we're taking them all over the world.
No, they were very simple birthday parties,
but
they were sleepovers,
right? And we kept it going from morning till evening. There was always it was kind of a full day of the attention went around them. Again, we didn't have millions of dollars and couldn't afford a lot of stuff, but we made it about them. We did fun things, and they enjoyed that.
Yeah, there was one year. This is a side note. There was one year when our two older boys were small. I think they were turning 4 and 5 at the time, or maybe 3 and 4. And Toy Story was big at that time. We had absolutely not a dime for a birthday party. So I got a stack of the cheapest paper plates. McDonald's had some kind of little, I don't know, like a little paper book that they gave out or whatever. So I got a few of those little paper books. I cut out the pictures from the Toy Story little booklets that McDonald's was handing out. I glued them onto those paper plates, and those were our paper plates. For party favors, I took all of our broken toys and whatever toys, I put them and hid them out in our backyard, and I called it the mutant toy hunt. And those were their party favors. So that's how broke we were, just so you have an understanding.
Side note, whoever started party favors, there were a lot of parents and grandparents out there going, what? Why?
Because it's fun.
We didn't have that when we went to parties.
I did.
When you were a kid?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I never went to parties, apparently.
So anyway, all that to say, so we have our two older boys, I would say, they like to be celebrated, but they're not over the top with their birthdays. Our two younger children.
They're the non-acting, performing members of the kids.
Our two younger kids are all about their birthdays. So much so that, like, when they got married, I was like, good, I'm done.
Yeah. So Liz and Taylor, it's all on y'all now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but anyway, they enjoyed it because their giftedness is in creating and performing. And so when you look back on it, you go, oh, that makes sense now.
Because they're wanting to do for others in this big fashion.
Yeah. So
they want others to do for them.
Right.
The problem is, and I think we actually even talked about this recently on a podcast, basically saying, it'll never like we can't meet their standard because
No.
we're just not as creative.
Yeah,
I'm not a creative.
yes, we're going to get to the point of why we're talking about birthdays
Yes.
here in just a minute. We're getting ready to turn the corner.
So the whole reason why I'm bringing up this whole birthday issue is, I think number one, the first thing to be aware of is what are the importance of birthdays to you and why, to know those whys. What are the importance of birthdays to your children and the whys. And in that, we want to just kind of have a conversation
Yeah.
about what is our role as parents, grandparents, whatever, in celebrating
Either
our
your
adult children
and grandkids.
or our grandchildren. And do we get carried away? Do we get carried away? Do we not do enough? Are we offending someone by not celebrating them? What does that all look like?
I could imagine a discussion going on behind the scenes. Oh, mom and dad, they're going to want to do da 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 and whatever, and
Right.
we need to go along with it because they don't want to fracture the relationship or hinder things in any ways.
Right.
And again, you're hearing our story about how we weren't celebrated,
Right.
and what we want to do. A lot of times, even as you're getting married or whatever, your normal is the life you lived.
Right.
And there are things that you loved about that you want to continue. There are things that you didn't love about that you don't want to continue.
Right.
So there's two of us get married. We didn't get celebrated. We're like, we're going to make birthdays important in our family. So we want to bring that to a level of awareness. So as you're pivoting, this is another thing to go through and think about and be aware of. Hey, how are we celebrating our adult kids?
Right.
How are we celebrating our grandkids? Are we over the top? Do we need to back it down a few notches? Because here's what can happen.
Well, a couple different things. If you listened to our podcast where we interviewed our oldest son way back, like 2 years ago.
Yes.
Wesley, one of the things Wesley said was, we really don't want our parents bringing gifts to our kids every time.
This wasn't regarding birthdays. This is regarding just visiting. Every time you see them when you're visiting.
Even with birthdays, we can go over the top. Like, I remember your mom and dad gave the kids all kinds of little gifts, but they weren't expensive gifts. And so oftentimes they were breaking the day that they got them. And whereas like with my parents, I would be very specific about something I wanted. And so I would ask them to specifically get this thing that was going to last forever.
I like your own Amazon list before there were Amazon lists.
Exactly. So I might ask for some little Tykes thing that, is made to last forever. But somebody who really loves giving gifts, they want to go out and shop themselves and do whatever. So again, this is a piece of knowing who you are, knowing how you operate, knowing what's important to you. But where I want to push is having a conversation with your adult kids, asking them about their birthdays, about holidays, about whatever. And what is it that you like the most about it? What kind of gifts do you like to get? Does it bother you that we're bringing the grandchildren, if you have grandchildren, 5,000 gifts?
Right. It's kind of like bring it out from under the assumption realm into the awareness realm. Be intentional to have that conversation. It's just going to help by being that intentional and vulnerable and just talking about having conversation. It's going to really help things down the road. I mean, just like when we talk about holiday traditions, we've got that podcast about that. It's like, talk about these things ahead of time and don't make it about you. Like somehow if they decide I don't want a party or I don't need gifts and you're a gift giving person, you want to respect that, but it's not a slam on you. Don't personalize it and suddenly have hurt feelings and go into retreat. Bless your kids, bless your adult kids, bless your grandkids, and come alongside them with how they feel loved at birthday time.
Right. And so let's switch to the person who is not like us, who birthdays are just not important to them. And because they're not important to them, they don't have the understanding of why a birthday would be important to someone else. Like, what's the big deal? Why do you do this? Why does everything have to be a party or celebrated or whatever? This is no big deal. Well, if you happen to have a child, an adult child, a grandchild, whatever, who it is important to them, then you are you're probably on some level hurting them because it is important to them. Now, the importance might come with getting some one little gift that is very meaningful to them. It may be a letter, heartfelt letter written to them that is super meaningful to them as
Oh my
to
gosh.
how you felt on the day they were born, or what it meant to be their parent,
Yeah.
or the lovely things that you see in them and that you're just so proud of them.
Those go a long way, and
Yeah,
they're not going to forget those. We were just at the dedication church service,
yeah.
and the pastor was sharing two things. He was going through a difficult time moving from North Carolina to Georgia, and things. And both his mother-in-law and when he moved, his mom had put something in his suitcase. And I'm assuming he's probably in his mid 30s
Yeah,
ish,
yeah,
right?
I'm guessing.
Has a family. I don't know how many kids, but he looked back and said that gift was so meaningful because it spoke into him his identity and things. So don't always think that I've got to go out and buy the next toy or it has to be whatever. I mean, find something meaningful. And as Julia just said, I mean, our kids, they call them Mother's Day and they wish you Happy Mother's Day, but it's the meaningful conversation that they're able to look you in the eye and tell you how much they love you and where they would be without you and things like that. And our kids have really done a great job of doing that. But you can those things are more meaningful. I mean, the next obviously kids like toys. That's not where I'm going and things. But
We're talking about adult
we're talking about
children,
adult
so.
children here and things. But yeah, also the other thing I was thinking, and of course we don't compare notes before we start talking. But as you said that, for the adult child who says birthdays are not important, I'm going to sit there and go, okay, that's what you say. But has there been something in the past that's happened that maybe you didn't get celebrated like another sibling did? And you're just like going, you know what? I don't want to get my hopes up and things like that, expectations too high, because even though I would like to be celebrated, I don't want to go experience that pain. So I'm just going to shove it down and things. And I'm really not sure how you would go about that as a partner to an adult child on that, unless you can recall, hey, did we do more things? Well, like for us, Jamie Lynn and Jack were wanting, that, and Campbell and Wesley, not so much. But you have to kind of explore that gingerly, wouldn't you
Yeah,
say? Do you have a way you would propose how you would do that?
So I would have been that person. So because I didn't feel celebrated, I would say I made it a point to not care.
Okay.
So in my world, what I did was I made sure my birthday is in August. So when I was, by the time I got to high school, my goal was to not be home on my birthday. So I usually went to camp for a week, the week of my birthday, so that I would be at a place that I
Did
loved
you get
and I would
celebrated
be
there? Did
friends.
they know it was your birthday?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, it
Okay.
wasn't some big hoopla because you're at
No.
camp.
Right.
But so that was my thing. But I just learned that I need to kind of push that down and not care about it. So, because who was I going to tell? I mean, even
Right.
if I
But
had gone to my parents and said, I really want to be celebrated on my birthday, I don't think that would
so
happen.
correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is was meaningful to you inside to be celebrated,
Yes.
but on the outside you weren't celebrated. So you made the shift that I don't want to have to experience this all the time. I'm going to be gone
Yes.
and things. But really underneath all of that was I want to be celebrated.
Yes.
And that's why Steve rents a Jeep and goes rents a boat on August 21st, and we enjoy Julia and do things like that.
Yes. Because I do like to.
We go. She's an otter, so I plan something for fun. We go have a good time.
Yes.
But
And I love the water.
so if I'm a pivoting parent and I'm on the other side of this screen, of YouTube screen or the microphone listening, I talk to my adult child and they go, don't worry about it. I'm good and whatever. Do you leave it at that?
Well, my hope is that even if after a conversation like that, and if they are saying, no, I don't care, no big deal, whatever, and there's something in you that says, I don't know if they're really telling me the truth. I think go with your heart. And I hope that you know your adult child well enough that you know their likes and dislikes and can still do something that's meaningful. So
Also, I just had a
that would
thought.
be my encouragement.
When you get married, we think that we know our child the best, and it starts to change. When they get married, their
Yeah.
spouse knows them better than we ever have. And maybe it's you talk to the spouse and
Yeah,
saying,
yeah, that's a great idea.
hey, this is my feeling. This is what happened growing up. They're saying they don't care, but I'm curious. I heard the Parent Pivot podcast and they were just making us be aware of that. What do you think? Is that really true? Or would
Yeah.
they really want to be celebrated? And again, the celebrated thing can be like, hey, family dinner or go out to dinner or things like that. Because as we reach a certain age, like we went through this with our daughter this past year.
Yeah.
She's got her expectations, boom, sets them really high. What she wants to do a birthday. And of course, she's a new mom, got to navigate all those things. And she was turning 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, what we were able to do is just love on her. I think what we did was we were able to take her to Nashville. We celebrated her 30th, like milestone birthdays. I'm sorry. For someone who says they don't want to be celebrated, I would still want to be celebrated for a milestone birthday. I turned 30, I turned 40, 21, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're still around when your kids are 70, wow, good for you.
My mom is.
That's true. Well, we're not 70 though.
Yeah. Well, no, but Stuart is.
Right. That's true.
My
That's
brother
very rare.
is 74.
Oh, and get this. So for her 95th birthday, if we haven't said this,
We may have said it.
we may have said it. For her 95th birthday, she has said, I want to zip line across Niagara Falls.
So we're going in August to zip line across Niagara Falls.
August the 9th, I am going to wear a adult diaper and close my eyes and scream like a baby for my mama. And I don't care who laughs at me or whatnot. I'm doing it because I love her, and she's been very generous she sits down, y'all. I've just now started to do this. Side note, squirrel note. But this is how much my mother-in-law celebrates birthdays now. She writes a check to every child, grandchild, and great-grandchild, and wedding anniversaries, and gives them money. And she writes $75 checks for birthday and $50 checks for anniversaries. I sit down with her once a month now to do it because she will sometimes double up. She will sometimes forget, and for other reasons and stuff. So I'm kind of helping, and I can deliver it electronically. But there is 81 events to celebrate.
Every year.
Yeah. And she's incredibly generous. And so I'm like going, you know what? I can get on a zip line and go across Niagara Falls. What's the worst thing that can happen? I end up crashing in the water and I meet Jesus.
That's right.
It can't be better than that.
Okay,
anyway, sorry.
Big side note there.
Big side note
my
there.
mother's birthday coming up.
But so the point was we got off track, but talk to the spouse.
Yeah.
And see what they say, because it's like they may say, well, you know what? I know they say that, but behind the scenes, maybe this would be meaningful. And they'll tell you, at what level do we celebrate him? Do we go skywriting in the sky? Do we invite, the whole world to come and celebrate? Would they like a surprise party? Some people don't like surprise parties.
No, I'm not.
Especially if you're an introvert.
Yeah, I'm not really a surprise party person. I would love to have dinner with a group of my friends. That would be very meaningful. But
yeah, so basically this whole podcast has been about to be a good partner, just be aware of birthdays.
Well, and other holidays
and
as
other
well. I mean, just know where your adult kids are coming from on these things. And it's meant to be, the whole reason that we're bringing this up is it's meant to be another building block for you to build a bridge with your adult child or your grandchildren if you have grandchildren. It is knowing who they are. It's examining that. It's having a conversation. We're always trying to push a little to have important conversations and really find out things that perhaps you never thought about or knew about. I mean, when we're raising our kids, we're just in go mode a lot.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but we didn't get a parenting manual when we left the hospital.
No.
Did you guys get one?
No, it probably wouldn't have been accurate anyway.
Yeah.
The
internet
kids,
was not around.
4 different personalities, all of it. So.
Right. Yeah, but I think the big underlying thing here is that we just want you to continue to invest, not make, again, when we're pivoting from parent to partner, we're not making about us.
Right.
It's about finding out from them what they want
Right.
And then even if they respond and don't want something, don't take that as a rejection of you. They're not rejecting you as mom and dad. They are just basically saying, I don't want all that attention right now, even if it ends something that we did. See, that's the hardest thing is ending traditions.
Yeah.
I know Jamie Lynn faced the fact that, hey, this year she's turning 31.
Right.
And you know what? Going out to dinner might be that, and some thank yous from the family. And these years start clicking off like an odometer on your car, and that's really how it works. But again, it's up to the person. If she wants to go do something fun, or any of the kids want to do something fun for the birthday, they can make plans.
Exactly. And I
Let
think
them make
that
the
that's
plans.
a big piece of this is learning again, like with other things, that we are taking a step back from being the ones in charge
Being the
and
primary one.
control
Yep.
in making all the plans and allowing them to speak into what they want.
So, as I said that, the idea came in, oh, great. One of your adult kids decides, I'm going to invite my close friends and we're going to go do this for the weekend, or we're going to this theme park or whatever. And you didn't get the invite to that.
Right.
How do you take that, Julia?
Well, it's like you said, it's not about you. And that doesn't mean that you still can't celebrate.
No, you
your
celebrate
adult
that.
child.
Well, that's awesome. Tell me about what happened. Oh, that was a great time. And you just cheer that on.
Right.
And maybe you say, hey, we'd love to take you out to lunch or breakfast for your birthday. Can we do that? And they'll probably likely say, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And
I know a lot of families that the traditions change, and because the family is growing, they end up having a once a month gathering where it's like, hey, we're going to celebrate all birthdays and anniversaries and Mother's Day in May, and that's what we're going to do. So that becomes maybe the norm.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So anyway, anything else on birthdays?
No, I want to encourage, number one, the conversation.
Okay.
I want to encourage, like you said, don't make it about you. And number three, don't overdo it or underdo it. Find out what people want and get to know them better and move into that mode.
And again, number four, I'm going to add number four. Don't assume that their answer to you is what they really want. Check with their spouse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So those are our 4 tips and stuff. So
if they have a spouse.
If they have a spouse. Yeah. Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. What if they don't have a spouse?
I mean, they may be 20, and
Yeah.
it's the 20-year-old who's going to want to go off with their friends and do something more than anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And more the single adult child.
And, if you got a kid that is away at college and they come, you're used to them coming home for their birthday and suddenly they're not because whatever, or they have a summer birthday and they, go off with friends in the summer. Those are adjustments. Those are changes.
Yeah.
Those are things that you're going to have to adjust to and create new traditions with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Be thinking new traditions. Things are going to transition. It's all about celebrating them. It's about them. It's not about us.
Yeah.
Make it a way to celebrate. And I think that's it. We have a book out.
It's not sitting
here, but if you go to Amazon and do the search Parent Pivot podcast, actually, we have a book about 13 principles for building a healthy relationship with your adult child. It's available on Amazon. We'll put the link in the show notes and right down there YouTube. We'd love for you to get that. It's more of a journal.
Yes.
We are very, as you can tell from the podcast, we ask a few questions. We have found a Bible verse for each of those 13 principles. And we hope that will help y'all build a healthy relationship with your adult children. Find us on social media. We're getting direct messages all the time on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and everything is at Parent Pivot Podcast there. Plus, if you want to email us, we're getting people asking us questions about what they've heard or things we've mentioned, or just even sharing their own. We got an email from a listener not too long ago that was just sharing something she heard you say. And she's in this kind of the same boat. Mm-hmm. And you were able to email her back and give her some support and things. So we love the fact that you listen to us. And we'd love if you'd share us on your social media pages and hit like, hit share, review us.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yep.
So we will be back I think if we're not back on a regular Tuesday with new content, you're going to see a best of Parent People podcast because it is going to be kind of a busy summer. We're going to try to get ahead on our recording schedule. We do have a couple of authors lined up. We're just trying to nail down some interview dates. So we're going to try to fill in as much as we can. So be patient with us. We'll pull some stuff from that's had the highest ratings as far as number of likes and views and stuff. So until then, we're going to see you next week on a Parent People podcast.
Bye.